I think it's a stock picker's market. I mean, we often say that, but I do think, and we're all saying, I think the same thing, that the market will set a new high, maybe goes a little further. So, Scott, maybe we get a 5% rise from here in the S&P 500, and then it consolidates over the summer. I think you can find stocks out there that might do 10% in that environment. I've added to a couple of them today, Cisco Systems and Qualcomm. You know, Cerity was just mentioning about positive earnings growth. What I also look for, and I know Cerity does as well, is positive earnings revisions. Cisco, if you look at the earnings revisions, it's definitely going higher, and it's with good reason. If you've listened to their last several earnings calls, they are definitely benefiting from AI, definitely benefiting from the data center build out, and it's just not reflected in the multiple. With Qualcomm, it's a little bit different in that the earnings revisions are very slightly upwards, but they're being anticipatory, and I think those earnings revisions are going to start marching higher, not on the back of cell phones, which we all know waiting for this much heralded super upcycle is not happening. But where Qualcomm's going to really get the earnings revisions upward is in automotive and Internet of Things, the latter of which also does play into the data center build out. So my point being is that you can pick stocks and not have yourself involved with this discussion about whether the market's too high or it's going to hit a new all-time high. You can pick stocks.
The payoff and all that, you didn't mention those two names by accident as we have on the screen. You bought more of both.
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I said that, but yes, thank you for pointing that out.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you,
Please,
Scott.
go ahead.
You know, I'll also Stacey Rasgon yesterday had a research note in which she called Qualcomm the Rodney Dangerfield of semiconductors, and they get no respect. I'm not sure everybody listening will.
Qualcomm's one of our largest holdings, and it hasn't really gone anywhere. But what you're also getting through is this overhang period of every time people talk about, well, Apple's going to do this and Apple's going to do that, you're going to get secular growth out of Qualcomm in other areas that are not just dependent on Apple, and that's the thesis on that one.
You trim some Microsoft at the same time.
You got to find money with which to put the new money to work in Cisco and Qualcomm. And I looked at Microsoft. It's had a fabulous run. I still own the stock. I'm not saying anything terribly negative, but at 31 times forward earnings, I think it might be at fair price. So if I look for a source of funds, Microsoft is the one.
Amazon's target today in that group gets raised to 240. JP Morgan. Meta's target gets raised, JP Morgan, to 735 as well. So there continues, Joe, to be optimism, and a lot of it around these names.
There is.
If analysts missed the last run in May, which was so significant, they're going to chase it up even further.
They are, but let's keep in mind, right now, of the 11 major sectors, technology is running in 8th place. I know recently we have a revival for semis and some of the Mag 7, but so far, year to date, it's been industrials, financials, utilities that are carrying the market higher. As it relates to the Mag 7, the strongest momentum that I see in the near term, and even if you pull back the calendar over the last year, is certainly with Meta. Meta is up 16% year to date. It's up 6% in the last 5 days. Sorry, Jimmy, I'm seeing very strong momentum for Microsoft, which is pressing towards an all-time high and looks like it wants to break out above there.
It's only 1% away.
Yeah, and you see, remember, positioning is so important in these names. You see rebuilding and positioning here in Microsoft because let's remember, it struggled. It had the relative underperformance last year versus the other Mag 7.